Hey, folks, welcome back to The Pulse. My name's Matt, and this is Crypto Heartbeat. We got a new mic. We'll see if it's working well. Let me know if you like the rich sounds of Crypto Heartbeat. Well, I have to give a shout out to Forrest. Forrest, the man of the Texan tailgate, helped me out with all of this new setup here. But folks, we're just every day 1% better, just like Rags has said. Folks, welcome back to Crypto Heartbeat. It is 12 noon. It is high noon Central Texas time. My name is Matt. This is Crypto Heartbeat. And boy, it's been a busy last couple of days. You know, today is the ultimate trump card. And what is the ultimate trump card? You ever play cards? Yeah. In Michigan, we called it euchre we played. And that had a trump card in it. Probably play spades, right? I do like some no limit Texas Hold'em. That's my game. But you know what it's like when you fall in love with your cards. You know, there's been many times when I've played no limit Hold'em where I got bullets, baby. Those are aces, if you want to know. In the hole. Ace in the hole, my kid Creole, my Bob Dole. That's Brandon. But if I got bullets, right? Aces, right? I look down on those, I fall in love. You ever fall in love with the cards? Yeah. When you play cards, you got to be cautious, especially when you're playing Hold'ems, because you can crack them aces, if you know what I'm saying, right? Somebody gets a set of twos. Let's say they're sitting on twos and the flop comes out and there's a two on there. You have no idea that guy got in, limped in on his twos. And here you are sitting on bullets. And you're like, I'm falling in love. I'm falling in love. Here's the thing, folks. You ever overplayed your hand? That's what you're seeing right now. The liberals and Democrats in this world overplay their hand. And here's the thing I want to bring to you today. You know, I'm not a Trump fan. I don't wear like the MAGA hat and all that kind of stuff. I would consider myself to be more of a libertarian when it comes to political things. But folks, I'm telling you what, this is unprecedented in our world today. The idea of people saying there's just no distance too far. I'll go the entire distance, right? Meaning I'll overplay my hand. And here's the beauty of politics. You just got to hang on. It's just kind of like crypto. You got to hang on, folks. Hang on. Because here's the thing, the pendulum swings and it will swing back. The problem is right now, what we're dealing with is the Department of Justice is being used against political enemies. This is what people do in third world countries. But this is how far we've descended. But I want to make a case to you today related to the ultimate trump card. What is the ultimate trump card? And it ain't Donald Trump, folks. That's just the clickbait to get you in here. But before we do that, let's get into the chat. We may have a guest that shows up a little later. Yeah, a little later, maybe at the bottom of the hour. But it is so good to see you. We had an exciting day yesterday. Funding Jim, big shout out to Gary, Funding Jim. Gary invited Brandon and I onto Gary Cardone's stream. That stream he did with Gary Cardone. Wow, that was awesome, right? We're going to be talking about this old system and the new system today. And we're going to talk about that. And then Gary Cardone's going to be a topic that I share. And if you caught that, I shared some things on there that I think were probably needed to be said. And I felt really led to say them. But it's the same thing we've been talking about here. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know this stuff. This is a whole new era. And, you know, we're getting back to the basics of loving one another, considering others in addition to ourselves. And, you know, the old way doesn't work in the new way. And everybody's like, let's integrate them. No, let's not. Let's discard one. That's what we're talking about. Welcome back to the Pulse. Crypto Compassion, number one. Good day, everybody. Good to see Godfather J6 back in the house. Great to see you doing well in Texan Tailgate. The guy, Forrest, who helped. Texan Tailgate's a new channel on the YouTubes, and it's 9 p.m. Eastern time on Sundays. So you can check out Forrest. He leads that. He's got a buttery, smooth Southern voice. He's fun man. You know, and if you listen carefully, he'll say to you something like, Myers, that's a fine seersucker suit. And he'll say things like, do you mind if I smoke? And he'll say, I'll just have a little bit of this sipping whiskey. That's my man Forrest, right? He helped me with the mic. He helped me with all this stuff. It's amazing the things you learn when you do this type of stuff. So thank you, Forrest, for all your help. Samantha, always sunshiny, firing it up today. Taryn, great day all. Charity Dunning with the fire. You know, you probably looked at the chart. There's some fire going on in the Texan token, approaching all-time highs once again here. And it still feels like a bear market, right? We don't know what's going on. We don't know if things are going to fall apart. And I would say what's happening today potentially could change the very course of a lot of things. A lot of things could collapse today if the Democrats don't actually understand the implications of what they're about to do. The DA from the Southern District of Manhattan is doing something that could literally remove all confidence. And that's a big part of this. You have to understand that what we're doing in crypto is related to confidence and a story. But here's the thing you got to understand. America is a story too. And you have to have confidence in it. And people erode that confidence, and what happens, right? Bank confidence, bank run. Let's go. David Lee, all the way from Southwestern Indiana, the guy with the love. Good to see you, buddy. Glad that you're here. Magnus, let's go. Sam Kemp's in the house. We're ready to go. Sam Kemp, thank you so much. Good day, Texan Pulse, Hex family. Folks, Texas, Hex is pumping 10 cents. I saw Richard took a screenshot of the candelabra being lit. Oh, man. Those were the days. Those were the days. Remember that time when it hit 10 cents the first time? Man, oh, man, it was so exciting. Those were the days when I was coming home from dinner or back to the house for dinner and saying to my wife, hey, you know that crypto thing? Yeah. It's like $7,500 now. And she's like, that's not real money. It's real money, folks. You know, one of the crazy things about crypto is that, you know, people are like, what's the utility? Well, the utility is that we get together in community and we declare our own value. I'll talk about utility too. I got a bit of a rant for that one. Matt Long, here's the guy. He's going to be the president of the Republic of Texas one day. He is the guy that we had on who literally, he's got 7 kids. 7. He's looking to get 10, right? I mean, he's going to have like the designated hitter. He's going to have the whole team set up. But folks, Matt Long is a special guy who is fighting for Texas independence and for his family. And he is articulate, and he's a handsome guy. And let's be honest, you know, the ladies like to have a handsome guy in politics, and you know, he's got a lot of good things going for him. So Matt Long, good to see you, buddy. Glad that you're here. Keep going, folks. We win together. David Lee, sounds great. Hex Force 1 in the house. Good to see you. Euchre's such a great game, isn't it? I was hoping somebody would catch that reference. Godfather J6 played a little bit of Euchre. Sounds nice and clear. Thanks, Texan Tailgate. I appreciate that. DJ and Dougie Peach is in the house. Great to see you back again. Crypto Compassion, DeFi, Trump card. That's what it is. So, you know, there's all sorts of derivatives of this, right? We can use card playing, overplaying your hand. We can talk about, you know, Trump as a person. We can talk about Trump as the ultimate card. It works on so many different levels. But yes, DeFi is the ultimate Trump card. Rich Cranium is here. Great stream with Gary's yesterday. The Garys, Matt, respect your fire brother. Hey, just trying to do the best we can. You know, we bring what we have to the table. Everybody's got something to offer. You have value, and you've been lied to. You've been told you don't have value. You do have value. Bring it. It's your creative ability that you bring to the table. That's all fiat is representing. Your creative ability, right? That's why you sweat from your brow when you work. Joey Torres, what's going on? Good to see you. And Drix back again. Drix, so good to see you. Fantastic. 2 Satoshis. Hello from Poland, Matt. I've been watching all of your live streams after joining Texan Token. Glad to be a part of something revolutionary. You know, and that's the cool thing about this new era in the blockchain. How's it going to be mainstream if we don't bring crypto to people? Like, that's the whole point of tokenizing communities. The hardest thing to do is to get people to care about your project. That's the hardest thing to do. Actually, code is not that hard. I mean, it's hard in the sense that you want to make sure things are right. You want to have security audits. But at the end of the day, people are trusting, right? And there's a narrative and a story. Why does Richard talk about product market fit? Product market fit is this concept of the narrative matches the goals and ambitions and strategies of the people that leverage the contract. That's what product market fit means. And so what do people want? He understood these things. He still does. He understands what people want. Why is he doing the The world's largest airdrop. Why is he innovating like crazy? I mean, there's like 10 different reasons, but one of the primary ones is he knows that everything's got to have incentive. And so if you can give people a copy of their coins on the Pulse chain, they're not going to care about anything else except themselves because most people are selfish. But we understand in this community that what builds value is community. It's caring for one another in community. That's what it's about. Because what's the benefit of gaining the whole world and losing your soul, right? You know what? Bigger barns, just load stuff in, you get more storage units, more crap in your garage. What do you need? Like, I say it a lot. Get it out of your system, man. Get all the stuff you want. Just buy all the stuff you want. Let it go to the moon. Get everything you want. Get it out of your system. And then let's talk. Let's go. Let's go. Let's make this world a better place by working together. Yo. Feeling better, David. Awesome. Fantastic. Charity Dunning. I did see the Texan chart, folks. It's pretty amazing. We bounce up and down. There's a big resistance level at the all-time high, which is 4 zeros and a 6. And so we bounce around there. But it's just really cool to see the volume. That's the thing that's been really impressive to me and shocking. But maybe our guest, if he's able to come in, can tell us a little bit about how he sees the chart, because you don't come here for the chart. The TA is not why you're here. Crypto, Luckbox. It's been a while. Glad to catch a stream. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Paul Opp, the 7th. Hello, all. Humberto. What's up, Humberto? Many blessings from sunny Miami. Keep crushing. You too, Matt. You too. David Lee with the love. Rich Liberation, bullish on Texan. Mr. Chira. Hey, what's going on? Yes. Texan all the way. Folks, I'm telling you, this era we're living through right now, all of these things work together. And you think about this ultimate trump card, what's happening? Everything could be changing. Well, and it is changing, but I mean, like today, it could be changing. Because when you remove confidence from the system, you got problems. And when people lose confidence in the banks, what do? They go pull their money out. When people lose confidence in a system, when people lose confidence in voting, when people lose confidence in healthcare, when people lose confidence in authority, when people lose confidence in leadership, when people lose confidence in the judicial system. And here's the thing, the last firewall, in my opinion, of all this stuff is justice. I was listening to, who was I listening to? Tucker Carlson last night, and he said, one of the things that we've had for the last 200 years in America is this confidence that people are going to get a fair shake, right? Equal justice under the law. But if you illustrate and you keep illustrating that there's two-tiered system, what people will end up doing is to say, hey, justice is knit into the human heart, and they will bring their own justice, and it's not good. We need this system, and we need confidence in this system. And so when you see people politically willing to do just about anything, I mean, here's the thing, folks. I'm not a big fan of Obama, not a big fan of Clinton, not a big fan of George W. Bush. But you know what? I'm not looking to put them in jail. Now, you think about what's happening here, and we'll dig into more of the details. Now, Hillary might be another story, but you know what? At the end of the day, let's move forward. That's how I see it. But yeah, interesting. And it's just an indication of, it's a symptom of the human heart. Who are the people that want to be in politics? I look at a guy like Matt Long, and I go, that's the kind of guy I want to see in politics, right? Family man, conviction, articulate. And you know what? Good people, like what I hate to see is like somebody that really wants to make a difference get chewed up and spit out. And then nobody wants to run for it. And then you get somebody like Donald Trump. That's the challenge. And it becomes a meme. Diddly, I do Irish Hexagon, Dublin pulsating here. Dude, Pulse chain is close. Richard, what's really cool about these updates he's been giving recently is the fact that in the past, he said, hey, it's coming. It was going to be May 15th of last year, right? We're in March 21st. He's very cautious, right? He's gun shy, right? He's heard that, all that pushback and people saying, dude, we've been waiting for a long time. So he's not about to lead people on. So I think you got to take him for his word. And he said this, it'll be ready when it's ready. But he's communicating. He knows what's going on. It's coming, folks. And you know what? I just think about everybody that's probably a lot like me. I've been telling my wife for a long time. She's like, wasn't that pulse chain thing supposed to happen a while ago? Yeah. And it'd be so redeeming for all of us when we go, yeah, it launched. Yeah, go check your wallet. Just change your RPC settings. And yeah, pulse chain, get your coins. And you're like, man, looking forward to that day. Because we've been going out on a limb. Remember all those people you encourage? You're like, yeah, we're going to the moon. Hex at 40 cents, right? And then it's like, boom, got to hang on. Take the long view. Don't nuke yourself. Let's set the captives free. That's what we'll be talking about today. Extravagant taste. I'm over 6 feet tall, but today I am short. Yeah, Matt Long needs all the votes he can get. Pulse Max. Howdy, Matty. Good to see you, Pulse Max. No, not right now. We got work to do. We're going to finance the revolution, folks. That's our role. Stay in your lane, bro. That's what we got to do. AZ Electric made it. Good deal. Hexagon, what's going on? Humberto proclaiming blessing over the Texan token. Appreciate that. Hex price, look at that. Dropped to 0.1 on the way to $1. The dollar holla from Texan and from Hex. Lassie, what's up going on? Finbear, did you know that Finland was declared like the happiest place on earth? No wonder we like Finbear. He's one of the happiest people on earth. Good to see you, Finbear. Thanks for being here. Magnus, what's going on? Cities preparing for protests cause possible Trump arrest is Antifa protesting. We don't destroy property. Yeah. You know, that's the thing. Boy, it's a clown world. It's a clown show. So we got to focus on the things that we can affect, but also we got to stick together because division, right? This is how you got to tie up the strong man, if you know what I'm saying. I know you know what I'm saying. Matt Long's blushing. That's right. Finbear is saying hello. We'll soon take 15. Awesome. We have a long boat crew today. That's right. Finbear can only fly Texan without the jab, asking for a friend. Can one fly to Texas? Yes, you can. Yeah, I think it's only Canada that's doing weird things to people still can't travel. Yeah, I stopped giving my wife updates. Blake, you're absolutely right. I kind of stopped too. She'll occasionally ask. She's like, "Is that Richard Hart you're listening to, or whoever it is?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Yeah. What about that thing? When is that? Don't we have money in that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's coming." T-shares, what's going on? Peace. And Hexyquin, welcome. All right, let's get into the content. We'll welcome a guest here in a little bit, and then we'll go for it. So today is about the ultimate trump card. What is the ultimate trump card? So if you've ever played spades or euchre or anything that has trump, right? It's a suit of cards that has domination over the other cards, right? And the ultimate trump card is the top of the trump suit. So in this case, like the ace of spades in like euchre or in in spades. And so we know that you can basically take a suit and say this one is stronger or better than these things. Well, what is the ultimate trump card? And I find that in politics and in life that most of the answers, most of the things that reflect truth are counterintuitive, right? We get this sense of things. I'll give you an example from the Bible. So you've often heard Jesus say, turn the other cheek, right? Turn the other cheek. And what do we think about that? I think in the common view, we think, well, that means we're supposed to be passive. We're supposed to turn the other cheek. If somebody hits you, let them hit you, right? Because God has the justice, right? He will defend you. But here's also something that's really interesting. In the first century, when they talked about this idea of showing respect to people, if you were going to hit somebody in that era, in that time, you would backhand them. Okay, so understanding the context of that, on one hand, you look at it and you're like, well, this means, just take it, right? Turn the other cheek, be passive. But actually, if you look at the context of it, it was a political statement. And this idea that you would backhand people that you didn't have respect for, it would show you wouldn't, right? So what they said is turning the other cheek requires that the person opens the hand to you. And so what you're doing is you're demanding that if you're going to hit me, you're going to treat me as an equal. And most people don't recognize this. These are the things that are counterintuitive about this. You've heard of the story also. It comes at the same place in the Bible about going the extra mile. And what we think about it, we're like, oh yeah, the extra mile. That means I'm going to go serve somebody, right? Well, yeah, it is. Well, what does it mean to go the extra mile? In community, we know that, hey, David Lee went the extra mile, 7.5 hours from southwestern Indiana to my dad's funeral. But what does the extra mile mean? Well, at that time in the first century, what it meant was you could make someone as a slave or a servant carry a pack or your stuff a mile. But if you force them, if you took it upon yourself as the person carrying it and you went the extra mile, that person's now indebted to you. It's actually a symbol of power. And people don't realize that. They're like, what do you mean? Well, yeah, there was basically a rule. So what happens is when you go that extra distance in this context, what you're doing is you're placing essentially a debt on the person. You're saying, treat me with respect. I am an equal, right? It's pretty crazy when you start digging into these things and you start realizing, hold on a second, this stuff is absolutely genius. And it's also counterintuitive, right? It's really, really, really fascinating. There's so many things that are like that, but that's the whole point of this stream is that people overplay their hand. They think, I gotcha with this trump card. But what they don't realize is in the process of functioning within this system, they play a card that overplays their hand. And judo, right? How many people do judo anymore, right? It's all like, mixed martial arts. The whole concept of judo is that you would take someone and use their weight against them, right? And if you think about kind of military strategy, and I know David Lee does, you want to find ways in which you can use their weight against them, right? You're leveraging your strengths and their weaknesses, and sometimes size is an issue. And so I feel like what we're seeing right now is we see a political group that basically is so enraged, they're bloodthirsty for Donald Trump's head that they can't see straight. And what happens is you're like, oh no, all is lost. No, 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 no. All is not lost. And even the banking system, you're like, well, I'm really worried about all of these things falling apart. Well, it has to fail. But who are the beneficiaries of that failure? It's you and me. Because a new season is coming about, and that new season is a new financial system. But here's the thing you can't get away from. We, in our relationships to one another, we define value. And see, this is the thing. I'm in the process of raising money. And right now, we're talking about getting very serious about what we call infinite development. We're actually going to be full-time in blockchain, doing development work, seeking out new communities. We're getting really serious. And what's interesting about that conversation is of having to educate people that have been investors to what we're doing. And sometimes it's really hard for people that are in the old model to see what's coming. And it happened yesterday on this stream with Gary Cardone, Grant Cardone's brother. So it was, Funding Jim, it was Gary Cardone, it was Rags, it was Walrus, Johnny Chaos. And we were there having this conversation. And I couldn't help but in the back of my mind go, we make an assumption. We make this big assumption that what everybody wants is money. And so you guys have probably heard this before, but I ran a company. I started a company in 2001. And for the next 10 years, we ended up buying 4 or 5 different companies. We grew it to about 200 employees. It became one of the fastest fundraising agencies and largest fundraising agencies in the US. And in that process, I was a young man, and here we were buying companies and doing all this stuff. And what was interesting is the people that came alongside us had been successful in the current model. So if you look at Gary Cardone, he represents this. Like he talks about Enron, he talks about oil and gas. Here's a guy that's been successful in a system. And what is the system theme? Extraction. And good for you, right? You take the structures of the things you're dealing with, and you're like, how do I get an advantage and an edge? And I jokingly said that, in the 80s, we slicked back our hair and we hostily took over things and snorted cocaine. Not me, but, the yuppies did. If you think about that, that is the height of arrogance and it's the height of extraction. Well, if you were able to become a middleman in that system, that's how you made money. And you could do that. And good for you, right? You figured it out. You played the game well and you did well. But you have to understand, if we're going to have something new, we have to recognize that it's new. We have to understand that it plays by different rules. And we also have to recognize and test it against, is it actually true? So let's look at the system that's coming, right? Satoshi's white paper, this idea of decentralization. I've said this many times before, but it's important for you to understand what money is. Money is actually a proxy for your labor. What's a proxy but a representation, right? This thing represents something. So your creative ability, which separates you from the animals, your ability to draw an elephant, to dig a hole, to drive a truck, to do something, your brain and your muscles and all that stuff works together. You might be a surgeon, you might be an accountant, you might be an attorney. That creative ability for you to think and process, you're actually creating value. And it's from your time. Because if you think about, what is mining? Mining is essentially a limiter, right? Why do we look at, Bitcoin mining? Because it has a limitation. It has to use a certain amount of electricity. Well, what is mining when it comes to pulling, resources out of the ground? We know that gold, is not just laying on top of the ground. Maybe in Australia it is, but you got to find it. Most of it's locked up in quartz veins deep inside the earth. And so we understand that there's a certain amount of energy and effort and money that it takes to extract it. So it's a limiting factor. And so that's what creates essentially, one, it's scarce, but two, it has a certain cost to get it out. Not anyone can mess up with the market by just creating gold. We don't have alchemy, the philosopher's stone. And so if you think about this, the human heart is limited by, and your creative ability is limited by your awake time, right? Your energy, your consumption of food, your ability to create. And so it has this natural rhythm to it, and that's life. Well, your private property is your creative ability is your private property. And in a civilized society, especially in the Western world, we have to recognize that our ability to create is what we get proxies for labor. Well, what's valuable to people? If you've got a bunch of potatoes, you don't need more potatoes. And the same thing is true, is that we determine value in our transactions, right? I think one of the things that's hard for people to relate to is that, you have a house. Let's say you live in a house, you own a house, and you're living in it right now, and it's not for sale. But let's say one day you say, you know what, let's get a better house, or let's move. Okay. What's your house worth? Well, we go and look at the market. And what's the market say it's worth? Well, what are comps, things in our community or in our neighborhood that are selling? What are they selling for? And then you reduce it to a square footage. You're like, well, it's $124 a foot. Okay, well, that's fine. So you determine a list price. But if no one is buying, you lower the price, right? You have to if you want to sell it. So the market determines that, but that's the parties of buying and selling, and that's supply and demand. It's the same exact thing everywhere. It's just we were born into the system, and we're like, well, this is the way it is, and it's the government controlling. No. It's parties that determine value. Have you ever gotten a deal? Have you ever talked to somebody and said, hey, I'll give you this for that? People determine value between parties. They negotiate that value. Well, your money is actually just a proxy for your labor because nothing exists outside of goods and services. And it really comes from your core creative ability. Now, you may go to school and become really, really good at something, and you can charge $400 an hour for your time because of your experience, right? That's great. You can get more proxy for your labor, right? You can get more money. But if you think about what we're doing in crypto is we are contributing to a common pool. We're saying, hey, this thing isn't going to change because it's not controlled by the Fed. I'm going to basically take my private property and I'm going to get together with my friends, my hexicans, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get some T-shares and I'm going to wait on this. I understand that, it's a speculative asset, right? But I get to earn a little bit more in the bear market and that's good. And I feel a little bit better about it and it protects me, from myself. And I'm not a trader and yeah, looks pretty cool. And then I'm looking at the market and saying, well, yeah, maybe in the future it'll go up because, there's just not a lot of people in this yet. And the governments are going to CBDCs and everything's going digital. Maybe this is a decent thing for me. You've got to do your own research there. But I think some of the fundamental things that are there is one, understand that you're putting in a proxy of your labor and your creative ability with other people. Two, it's not controlled by any, centralized parties, which is huge. That's the core of DeFi. It's immutable. It doesn't have any admin keys. And then you think about the narrative and the story. What is the story? A bunch of pirates, right? Led by the Captain RG3, right? It's got a peg leg and a parrot and a hook, right? And you can relate to this story. You know what? I don't think we've got a whole bunch of hedge fund managers in Hex. Why? Because the story doesn't fit for them. It's not all foie foie, right? My foie gras, right? And I'm, having my caviar. No, it doesn't fit that story. And then there are other people that, there's all kinds of different memes. There's all kinds of different narratives. What are we doing with Texan? We want to set the captives free. How do we do that? Well, we want to be around a topic and a story that could have a really, really big impact. And so what is Texas independence all about? It's about people having a right to live the way that they want to live. And if you look out there, you know what? It's not really representing what we believe the American ideal is about. And so could we preserve that in a place? And I'm going to tell you, when people preserve good things, what happens? Well, what ends up happening is people vote with their feet. They come to Florida from New York, or they come to Texas from California, right? Right? What story are we telling here in Texas? We're telling the story of low taxation, individual liberty, right? Family, good family values, right? Opportunity, all kinds of good things happening in Texas. And so people vote with their feet. This idea of America, which is about opportunity, right? Not having open borders and all these things. What's amazing about it is it gives us an opportunity to say, let's preserve what made America great here in Texas. So when people say, oh, you just want to leave the Union and you just want to break things up. No. We know that they've gone too far. They've overplayed their hand. And at some point in time, you have to call their bluff. That's what we're doing. We're calling their bluff because they don't got the cards. We're holding the ultimate trump card. What is that? The truth. We're standing on the truth. And what is the truth? And if you think about it, you listen to Crypto Heartbeat and you hear this stuff about, Christianity and Jesus and all this stuff. If you follow what I'm doing, you know what I recognize? This world is upside down and there is truth. And I'm going to stand on that truth, and that truth will guide you and guide me. Folks, this new season of the financial system is one of abundance, but it requires that we work together and that we consider others in addition to ourselves. You don't have to hug everybody's neck like David Lee, but you do have to consider them in addition. And it can be absolutely an unlocking of a massive amount of value because we determine value together. Do you realize the power we have together? It is massive. And when you understand it and recognize that, you say, you know what? I don't want the old system to integrate with a new one because the extraction people will just make it an extraction model. It's a wholesale change. What is the wholesale change? We don't allow middlemen in. We don't have a centralized party. There's no counterparty risk. It's censorship resistant. That's what's happened. FTX, Celsius, Coinbase, all these people are middlemen. The whole point of why Bitcoin was created was to remove middlemen. So I reject this idea that we've got to play by the same damn rules. We do not have to play by the same rules. They are threatened by this because they lose control. The purse strings, my friends. Control your own destiny and your own future. That's what the hope of Satoshi was, whoever Satoshi is. But that's the whole point. Return it to popular control. Put it back in the hands of people. And I say to this, what would happen if the people of the Texas nationalist movement had an abundance? Well, guess what? Matt Long would be elected into office, and he would support Texas independence in his area. You put abundance in the hands of people across the state of Texas and across the world that care about freedom and sovereignty, and guess what happens? Elected officials in the Netherlands stand up against people that are trying to destroy their farms. And people in Canada go, you know, we can do this. If we have the resources, we can return this thing to popular control because the model is one of abundance, not of scarcity. Everybody wants to fight a war. Look what George W. Bush did and Colin Powell. Lied to the American people that there were weapons of mass destruction. Why? Because they wanted the oil and the gas. Why are we fighting Ukraine? Why do we want to topple Russia? Because we've already got it carved up, folks. We already got all their minerals, all the oil and gas leases. Why did we blow up the Nord Stream pipeline? So they'd buy our gas. This is all about money and an extraction and control. And now that we're losing this air of, righteousness as a country, and we see today Russia and China buddying up together, is because, you know what? This idea of America being a shining city on a hill and being a leader, a moral leader, and being the, policeman of the world and doing the right thing and being representing righteousness and justice is now become a clown world of woke culture. And what ends up happening? People look at that and they go, you're just rotting from within. And so, what is the result of that? As the empire falls, the empire's got some guns, big guns. And so, what will you see? The heavy hand and power of government controlling. And it's from the military industrial complex all the way down to the district attorney in Manhattan. Control. Because I don't have the confidence of the people. I don't have the people at my side. I don't have them where I want them. So I have to lock them down. I've got to control this. So why get rid of speech and why get rid of these things? And so what ends up happening is you become more basically playing to your own strengths, which is big guns. And so what do? We fight wars. We don't like the way you're treating us. We don't like these things, and we got bigger guns. And it's unfortunately the last hope. So we don't lead from a position of strength and leadership because we don't have any more. There's no respect anymore. And empires fall. And how do they fall? They spend themselves out of existence. And there's many facets to this story, and one of those is fractional reserve banking. And because of what we've done, right, we wanted to have the spigot open, is we're going to pay the price for it. And what are people doing? I mean, the dollar will cease to be the reserve currency of the world. And it's going to, but here's the thing, crypto folks, guess who's going to benefit from all this? This decorrelation that's happening with Bitcoin right now. You thought Pulse Chain was good. You're like, oh, Pulse Chain, Pulse X, hey, it's got buyback and burn. Just get ready. Because when people lose confidence in the system, there's a run on the bank. This isn't about gold or silver or what it's backed by. It's about humans having confidence in a system. Guess what we're building? Our own damn digital nation. We have confidence together in the code, and we come together and high five and love each other. And what happens? Poof, value exists. And they're like, you can't use that money. And you say, wanna bet? It's exactly what we're doing. And it's a revolution. It's safe, it's quiet, it's peaceful, but it leads to a renaissance because regular people got a shot. So you should be screaming this stuff from the rooftops, telling people about everything that is immutable, that's true DeFi, that can free the captives. Because what happens when your neighbor who's just keeping his nose above water and has to go buy a 6-pack of beer just to get through the day? Hey, what if he gets his time back? And what if he thinks differently? And what if he can actually take his creative ability and have a dream and actually think about the future and not be locked to his mortgage or his desk or his truck? This is a big idea, but I will not carry the lodestone of the old system into the new one. I do not accept it. I reject it wholesale. He says, I make all things new. The disciples went to Jesus. They're like, hey, what's the most important commandment? There's a lot of commandments, right? The 10 commandments. What are the most important? And they thought Jesus wasn't going to answer them, but he did. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Okay, so the creator of everything, we're supposed to love him. Okay. Have faith, believe. Okay. And then love each other. Love your neighbor as yourself. What does it mean to love your neighbor as yourself? You probably took a shower. You probably should take a shower, Brandon. But you should also consider, hey, I take care of myself. One of the things that's amazing is there's this picture of the temple. And the temple was a place where they did the sacrifice. And it was a place of forgiveness, right? Sacrificial system. And this is in the Jewish tradition. Well, it says, that there is a temple in you, right? That this new covenant you are a temple. And of course, people talk about that as it relates to working out and taking care of yourself and eating right. But if you were created for a purpose and there's a plan for your life and you fought the lion and the bear and you have something to do and you're contributing to this and you've got a calling, then you should probably take care of that temple, right? In the Christian tradition, they say that's the temple of the Holy Spirit, right? It indwells in you. It's no longer in that Temple Mount, in that building in the Holy of Holies, but actually within you. And if you think about that, that's the essence of America. And I don't mean Christianity. What I mean by is an internal tether. Okay. And so this is how I wrap all this stuff up. The ultimate trump card. The ultimate trump card is the tether of your own morality. And it's based on your faith and belief in your fellow men. That's the ultimate trump card. Because if a man is ruled from within, he does not have to be ruled from without, meaning the state. You do not get your values, you do not get your value, you do not get your rights from the state. We form these things to make some rules that we think are going to be best for our life, liberty, and happiness. That's it. That's what we do. We agree to do that, and we're like, yeah, let's not speed. Yeah, let's have some water and trash service. Let's keep the streets clean. Let's take care of people. Let's have justice system. Let's make sure people don't stab each other or shoot each other. Okay, great. Well, what is that? It's an idea. And when you lose confidence in that idea is going to defend your life, liberty, and property, you have the right to stand up and abolish or change it. But it's all inherent in the people, just like money. Money is just your private property, a representation of your creative ability. And when you get back to the basics, you say, hold on, the God-given rights and value that I have is actually represented in this world. And the choices that I make for good or for evil is what determines the path. In the garden, we literally ate and our eyes were open. The knowledge of good and evil. You have a choice to make. And what happens in these important times is it requires leadership, it requires vision, and it requires faith. And so when I look out at the blockchain and I look at Richard Hart and his vision, and I look at what the evil side is doing, I always see the creator in all of it, the provision of, hey, just when you thought the evil side would win, just when you thought the darkness and the curtain would fall and all is lost, and it's like some French documentary movie where everybody dies, is not true. There's provision in the midst of the storm. You got to look at it because you can have peace in any and every situation. And so if a man is ruled from within, he does not have to be ruled by the state. And we've gotten away from that. This idea that, hold on a second, there is a distance that is too far. There is a line I will not cross. And what are we seeing with the district attorney in the Southern District of Manhattan with Donald Trump? Bloodthirsty. There's no distance. Well, you're willing to destroy Western civilization. Yeah, if it means that I can win. And that short-term win, you don't know the ramifications of that because it sets a precedent in the future. And that's danger. Very dangerous. It's interesting that literally, if we see a mugshot and handcuffs on Donald Trump, it could be the pivoting point of the black swan, and everything could fail. Because when you lose confidence in the judicial system and people take it upon themselves to bring justice themselves and not have faith in the system and not have confidence in the system, everything degrades. And when people are afraid, they run for the bank and the hills. And people will die. And I don't mean out of the violence of other people politically. I mean because everything stops. And what ends up stopping is you're going to have to figure out how to plant food. And all these preppers you thought were loon birds are going to actually be in a better position. And, folks, we're hanging on by a very thin thread, Jerry. We're hanging on by a very thin thread. However, I have faith and hope in the future that what we're doing together, caring about one another, is going to come at a pivotal time. The Pulse Chain is going to launch soon. I think that as people lose confidence, we're going to see more and more come into crypto, and crypto is going to move, and it is we're going to see growth beyond growth. And then as CBDCs increase and all of this stuff about control increases, the Richard Hart ecosystem of the Pulse Chain, right? PulseX, Hex, all the projects on the Pulse Chain, and hopefully not OFAC and compliance with this Ethereum fork could be the ecosystem of freedom and sovereignty. Folks, you're living in consequential times, and you have been called to such a time as this. If you've never asked for direction, I highly encourage it because it's available to you. It's amazing what we can do when we come together and believe in a future that's better, and we leverage the gift of the blockchain and animate it for good. There are those who want to animate it for evil. It's a tool. Steve said the other day, you could put a gun on a table, and if you don't pick it up, it stays there for 1 billion years and just rots into dust. Or you can pick it up and defend your family. You can pick it up and you can rob a bank. Tools are tools. We are the ones who animate those for good or for evil. And we have that choice to make. That's the choice you have. That's the power you have. It's your creative ability. So are you contributing your creative ability to make things better? Well, I think participating in this ecosystem and seeing the future of this, you already know the answer. You're already ahead of the game. You guys are the choir. Let's sing it out, folks. Thanks for joining the Pulse today. My name's Matt. Let's get back into the chat. Say hello to you. Our guest never came in. Can you believe it? That's sad. And if our guest is listening, he has the link. Oh, let me see if he's texted me. No, he's a busy fellow. All right, let's see here. Mr. Cheer Up, Pulse, Matthew Long. All right, let's see who else is here. Saying hello. Okay. Yep. Oh, hang on a second. I was going to show you this. Listen to this. Kevin McCarthy.
It doesn't matter if this was President Trump or if this was a Democrat. It should be equal justice in America. And stop going after people because you have political differences. I see people all the time that I have political differences. I respect their opinion. I may disagree with it, but why would you ever try to use the law for it? And it goes directly against everything that this Manhattan DA has professed. He brags about lowering felonies to misdemeanors and not prosecuting. We've watched crime in New York where people are afraid to walk the streets. We watched campaigns, and I will tell you, one of the reasons we won races in New York is based upon this DA of not protecting the citizens of New York. And now he's spending his time on this. It doesn't matter if this was President Trump or if this was a Democrat.
There you go, folks. This is dangerous territory. But, you know, when you've gotten so polarized that you only see red, it's what you do, right? You're like, you know, the ends justify the means. And we've seen this time and time again. And when we saw this with the Roe v. Wade case that was leaked, people will do anything, you know, and that's the problem. In the past, I remember when I was a kid, I remember Ronald Reagan, right? It's morning in America. And I remember this time of what it meant and, you know, seeing somebody that was stately, right? Or the statesman. You know, and, you know, I'm sure there were issues there too, right? No one's perfect. But when I see that, I'm like, where are those leaders? Is Matthew Long, is he a Reagan type of character? We need leaders. I don't know who it is. Is it DeSantis? I don't know. Is it Daniel Miller? Who is it? Folks, it's time. It's time that we literally take responsibility for our future. You're doing it when you're DCAing, but also recognize this. You're going to find yourself in abundance. I mean, I know some people that put like crazy money into the Pulse and PulseX sacrifice because they believed in this. $1.6 billion. Folks, we are on the eve of the Pulse Chain V3. And then it's mainnet because they've already tested it locally. Basically, you're going to get a warning shot and it's going to be here. And then it's going to be the next day and the next day and the next day. Folks, sometimes I look at Richard Hart and I think, you know, he must be getting something passed across the veil to him because his timing is unbelievable. And it's weird how all of this stuff works together. And of course, you know, I recognize the fact that, you know what, you may make plans. Yeah, but God determines the steps. And so when I see this stuff, I go, wow, this is provision in a time of unrest. And it's people like us that are going to be called on to help and to serve. But we're going to be able to remake this. And honestly, it's amazing. because we understand and recognize that this isn't heaven, folks, right? This is a place where there's one who's prowling around trying to devour us. So you get my drift. I know you do. Hex Monkey, what's going on, dude? It is good to see you. When you get a big crypto bag, you're still the same person inside. Don't expect to give you permanent joy. Well, it's a tool as well. Hex Monkey makes a great point. Having money is great. It gives you options, buys your time back. But what's this whole thing about, like, I have sudden wealth syndrome? And some people are like, I want to catch that. I want sudden wealth syndrome. Folks, careful what you wish for, right? The key to all this stuff is building character and then recognizing that these are just tools and then saying, how am I going to use these tools for, one, helping your family, helping your community? Because that's a cool thing. It's not like it's hard. You just have to put it in its rightful place. And I said before, what were the two most important commandments, right? What's the first commandment in the command? Do not have any gods before me. Well, what's the God that we put ahead of everything? Money. When I was listening to Gary Cardone, that's what I was thinking in the back of my mind is this is a God to us. That we think that as men, we're supposed to be going out to just get money. No. Accumulating these tools, it's a scorecard and all that stuff, but it shows our own insecurity. I'd much rather be known for the content of my character than for the bank account amount. But it's an easy proxy if I can go get it and show you. I can put the bling on my wrist, and then you can think I'm somebody else. I mean, that's the problem. We're covering these things. We're not being transparent. And, people are afraid. They want to be liked. And I get it. I do. I really do get it. But folks, there's a time coming when, it's amazing. If the air got pulled out of the room, you wouldn't be talking about crypto. You'd be running for the door. Mobius, what's going on? Good to see you. Only the second time I've heard someone else reference this. 100%. Good to see you. Empty Corner, good day. Crypto Heartbeat, NT Fryer. Judo is fun. I haven't been thrown around in too long. There you go. Use your weight against you. Grab you by the gi, as they say. Anyone that missed that stream should check it out. Yeah, that was with Gary Cardone and Gary Funding Jim. Finbear, our happiness is fueled by Schadenfreude. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not even saying it right. Schadenfreude. Fraud? Schadenfreude? Sounds like Farfignugan, but I know that's not from Finland. Correct. Money is not income. There you go. Benny Blanco, welcome back, dude. Happy Tuesday to you. Ryan Hungate's in the house. He is a senior dev on our team, and he is strong like a bull. He got a comment from Richard Hart looking at his weight set. He's like, you strong. Matt, every time I'm watching the streams, my wife comes in and smiles when she sees you on the computer, just saying, I swear I'm working, though. Yes, you're working, man. Fake it till you make it, bro. Texas leaving the union will ironically preserve the values once held by the union. And that's the point. Here's the thing, folks. You just think about this. My dad used to say this all the time. If you boys keep fighting in the back there, I'm going to stop this car. And we're like, yeah, whatever, old man. And we kept fighting. And what did he do? He stopped the car and knocked our heads together. And we were like, okay, he means business. That's what we're doing. We're stopping the car and knocking your heads together. You guys have gone too far. You're out of control. Adults are taking over. Hector the Protector 22. Great stream yesterday with the Garys. Really enjoyed listening to you, Matt. All that talk about maybe not wanting to be rich and just wanting to provide for our children was powerful. And here's the thing. Let's do both. Here's the thing I think is amazing. Solomon, right? Solomon, the richest man in the world, or one of them. What did he pray for? Did he pray for money? Did he pray for gold from OPHIR? No, he prayed for wisdom. You make good decisions and you daisy chain those decisions together, and you know what you find? You reap a harvest of righteousness and wealth. Because what is wealth? But peace in your heart, because the currency of God is peace. It's not money. You're trying to stuff something in a hole that doesn't fit. Treat it as a tool, gain wisdom, and you will have riches. And those riches will be measured in many different ways, not just by the size of your bank account. Cody Lane, I'm here. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. You're just like spreading the love as well. Anders, good to see you. In Hex We Trust. There you go. That code is immutable. David Lee, soon after the CIA took out JFK, we had the Gulf of Tonkin. Republic is long gone. Man, but here's the other thing about the internet and about communication. Everything will be exposed by the light. One time or another, right? It's coming. exposed by the light, the disinfectant of sunlight. Sam Kemp, good to see you. Interesting stuff. Texan has a nice reverse head and shoulders pattern, which means a very nice move to the top as long as we can hold 5.6. And yeah, we're at 5.555 at this very moment on the USDC pair. Let's just take a moment. Let's just do it, because the irony of all the irony. Let's share the screen. Texan, somebody's got to screenshot that. Texan at 5.5. Look at that up in the top right here. 5.555, baby. It's a sign. It's a sign. I appreciate all of you folks for being here. Hey, if you guys want to learn more about crypto, in the description is a free ebook that I wrote with ChatGPT, my new AI friend, that helps you understand what I've been talking about, what I talk about on my channel, what kind of time we're living in, but ultimately it guides you through DeFi crypto. And if you know somebody that's a no-coiner and you don't want to keep repeating yourself, you can go check it out. So I'm going to share my screen here. It's called Unlocking Generosity, and it's a PDF, and it's free, and it's for you. And you can learn all about all sorts of things. So that link is in the description. Excuse my cough. I didn't hit the button. David Lee, how many teachers from West Texas became billionaires? Wow, there you go. Well, some of them were sitting on oil and gas, and they got the leases. And they're holding him with his ears, David Lee. There you go. It's for a porpoise. That's right. Barry Crump, I firmly believe that Texas regains its independence. A number of other states will follow suit. I totally agree. You give them permission, right? Only a discredited rump of the USA will remain, corrupt and broken in its degenerate clown world. And that's really what happens. Absolutely. I think that imagine us embracing DeFi and understanding and getting back to the basics, and then saying, hey, it's like kids, right? It's like the prodigal son. Go your own way. Go ahead. Do the things you think are right, and let's see what the results are, and let's compare notes. And then we'll come back together once you've gotten it out of your system. That's what it is. I feel like Washington is like a teenager. Francis Paul, hello. Daniel, good to see you. Howdy, Mr. Paul. George Sacco, 100 years ago, these people would be hanging in the center of the city. Why do you think they did what they did? Yeah. Well, I mean, we had justice, right? And that's the thing. We've got corruption. And that's what's ultimately the case here. It's corroded. It's rotting from within. And we have to return it to popular control. And it's amazing that we have the blockchain, because revolutions haven't had the blockchain in the past. This is amazing, because it's not just the political will, but it's also the financial power potentially. But to see that it's a whole different system of not extracting, to me, is why you've got to understand it. A hun is a tool that can feed us or protect us, should not be used for anything else. A hun. I'm sure, a gun probably. Gun, yeah, there we go. A gun is a tool that should feed and protect us. Yeah, hunting, defense. Sounds good, looking better. There you go. Note to your no-show guest. Navy wasted your talent. You should have been an intelligent analyst, not a weather guesser. Analyst of Swiss Bank story was outstanding. Yeah, Rags was bringing the heat earlier. Sam Kemp is a big fan. There you go. Mixed crypto arts. Great seeing you yesterday with Rags, Walrus, Funding, Jim, and Grant Cardone. Check out that video. It's worth it. It's worth it. And it's cool that we're getting attention of guys that are kind of, in the know and are kind of the, quote unquote, seen as successful. It's good for the brand of Hex. George Taco Trump, Hex Father Matt. Good to see Hexonium. Good morning, people. Crypto Pays here, Cody Lane. I want to build a massive amount of wealth to give it all away. Hey, and then you can do that. That's the freedom that you have. I'd encourage you to take care of your family and your friends and your community, but be a force for good. Make good choices, right? And what it'll do, it'll create generational blessings, right, in your family. You make a lot of good decisions and you daisy chain them together, has a good effect. Easy, Jim. You in here, Tank Crypto? Oh, nice. Good afternoon, Mr. Lee. I've been busy just listening. Awesome. Good to see you. Francisco Carbonero. It is in my view, which is backed with scholarly research, that we are in the 100-year reign or 1,000-year reign, and it is coming to an end. You're an millennialist. We are witnessing it. These are exciting times. Yeah. We could get into eschatology, talk about pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, all millennialists. But you know what? I know one thing we got in common, and that's love for our fellow man. At least we had 57 genders. JJLA, what's going on? Ask for knowledge and you shall receive, but embrace yourself because it's a blow in the beginning. You know what? That's so true. Here's the thing that I think is a great analogy. He says, I stand at the door and I knock. You know, what's interesting is imagine somebody standing at your door. They're not busting their way in. They're not breaking down the door. You have a choice to open it or not. We have the same ability when it comes to other people. We can ask and we can seek and we can knock. The door will be opened. You will receive. But the same thing is true here is part of what we are doing here on this planet for this period of time, this short period of time, is we're being tested. It's a filter that we're getting passed through. The question is, are you going to be clean? And I think what's really fascinating about this is the church that I grew up in and everything wanted to get a notch on their belt. They wanted to scoreboard. Faith is a mystery, my friends, and it's between you and the creator of all things. And what's amazing is he stands at the door and he knocks. The question is, you're either going to say, nah, I don't need that baloney, or you're going to get to the end of yourself and go, I got nothing else. And that's where I was. I was a overconfident, pig-headed person until I recognized who I was. Empties you out, gives you a new name, and you're restored. Exonium. Many Christians believe people should use their wealth to help those who are less than they have. Humans have a duty to help each other as the members of a global family. It's the Old Testament. You know, and here's the thing I think is important to recognize. There are not rules in that respect. And I think that's what I like about this. There's so many times within the scriptures where basically said, hey, if you're not going to help, and I think about Mordecai. Yeah. This is a interesting scenario. It's like, if you're not, if Esther's not going to help, God will find another way to do it, right? If you're not willing and you're not available, he'll work around you. He doesn't need you. But boy, you want an amazing journey in life? Ask him for direction. It's amazing. Flicked, ticked, tricked, wicked. Nice. Wicked. There you go. Mr. Chira. Texan token is traveling in a channel, wants to see when it breaks a channel. Yeah, we'll see soon. That's the cool thing about this. We put this out into the market. We've talked about it. It's done. It's immutable. We cannot impact it. And so it's really up to you. You care about it? Let some folks know. Benny Blanco, that's my plan. I want to help those who are less fortunate. I truly believe that is why I was put here on earth. Fantastic. Fantastic. And you don't have to be a martyr, Benny. No one does. No one does. You don't have to be a martyr. Just consider others in addition to yourself. Folks, thanks for joining the Pulse today. If you see Brandon around, tell him, why weren't you on the stream? Take care of yourself, folks, and do not mess with Texas. Take care, everybody.